swear affirm testimony will be able to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
I need you to state your first and last name, and spell your first and last name to the record.
Phil Norton, Philnorton.
Good morning, Mr. Norton. How are you?
Good.
Good. Mr. Norton, would you tell the jury, are you a gun owner?
Yes,
How long have you owned guns, firearms?
my entire life.
What type of guns have you owned throughout your lifetime?
Couldn't tell you.
Have you ever owned a Glock 9mm weapon?
Yes.
All right. Now, when you purchase your firearms or when you obtain your firearms, where is it that you ordinarily get your firearms from?
Various places. I make holsters for a living, so I come across a lot of guns.
You make what for?
Holsters for guns.
Okay. And you said, so you come across a lot of guns?
I do gun shows almost every weekend,
All right. And where do you do your gun shows?
all over the place.
During your gun shows, do you buy guns from people or do you just sell them?
Everything, it changes every day. It's almost like a pawn shop.
Okay. All right. And do you
There's a lot of trading going on, selling, buying, not necessarily just guns, everything.
Okay.
Ammo,
Including your
optics,
holsters?
holsters, bags, everything in the industry.
Okay. Do you have to comply with any federal regulations at those gun shows?
If you buy from an FFL agent, yes. If you buy from a FFL holder, yes.
And what is an FFL holder?
Federal firearms license.
All right. Now, when you say if you buy from an FFL holder, you have to comply with federal regulations. During those
Go.
exchanges and during those sales and transactions that take place at the gun shows that you attend, are you either buying from FFL holders or are you an FFL holder?
No.
So there's no restrictions to the way that you sell and
If
purchase
you're a
guns?
private owner or a private seller, under the Constitution, you can buy and sell guns. You don't have to have an FFL license.
Okay,
Just like if you were my neighbor and I sold you a gun.
okay.
I don't know if you know that or not.
I do not, because you just told me.
Yeah.
So when you purchase a firearm from someone, is there any kind of record or do you keep any kind of record of the types of
Not
firearms?
unless it's an FFL agent, no. Unless, if it's an so in other words, if I go to Academy Sports, there's paperwork filled out.
Okay.
If it's a private sale, no.
Now, you said you've owned guns all of your life, or at least you've had
Yes, ma'am.
access to firearms. So is it safe to say that you're pretty familiar with firearms and how they work?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the types of gun that you've owned, have they all been semi-automatic? Have they sometimes been revolvers, pistols, a whole range of guns?
Yes.
Yes to which question, since I asked the
All of
compound
them.
one? Okay. Have you ever owned an automatic weapon?
No.
Have you ever handled an automatic weapon?
No.
Do you know what an automatic weapon does?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Because this is my business.
Fair enough. And so is it safe to say you make it your business to do that type of research, or you've seen it in action?
It's 2024. If you can't see that on YouTube, it's pretty easy.
Okay.
It's very acceptable knowledge. Everybody has it.
All right. And what about the way that a gun is made or transitioned from a semi-automatic to an automatic weapon? Are you familiar with that as well?
No, not how to do it.
Not how to do it? Are you familiar with the mechanism that causes a gun to go from semi-automatic to automatic?
Which one?
The switch.
I am familiar with it.
All right. Have you ever purchased a switch?
No.
Okay.
I've only seen it on TV or YouTube, I would say.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what we have marked as states 51XX alpha. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, are you able to recognize the firearm that is in this box?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you ever owned the firearm that is in this box?
According to why I'm here, yes.
Now, would you explain what you mean when you say according to why you're here?
I believe I purchased this off of a law enforcement agent, and then I traded it at some point.
Okay.
What I've been told, and I believe when I was talked to about it, yeah.
And does this appear to be the firearm that you purchased from that?
Not anymore, now with that switch on it.
Okay. Do you see the switch on it that you're talking about?
I do, I know what they are.
Okay.
I've never seen one, I've only seen it on YouTube.
All right, point two.
That's it, right?
Is it okay if I hold it up, Judge?
Yes,
All
it's locked, right?
Yes,
It is, Judge.
Yes.
it's right there in the back.
Okay. So this little part right here? Okay.
And so somehow that makes it so you just pull the trigger once.
Okay, and what is your understanding of when you say you pull the trigger once, somehow that makes it?
It empties it. It just, you don't have to pull it again.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
And given your experience with firearms, is there any particular reason that you never purchased a switch or utilized?
It's a felony and illegal, be a good reason. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Holy
Yeah.
moly.
And the last time that you owned this weapon, it did not have that switch attachment on it.
It didn't come from the officer like that, and it didn't leave me like that.
Do you remember what you did? Did you sell it at one of your gun shows?
I really don't. I tried to recall. It was quite a while after. I don't know if I traded it or sold it, or I really don't remember.
Okay.
I probably traded it because you can usually trade in it more value.
And when you say traded it, would it have been at a gun show or at a pawn shop?
No, at a gun show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, there's not records that are kept of who you would have traded it to.
No, ma'am.
And then once you traded it, you kept no contact with the buyer of the firearm to know what they did with it.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
This is almost like a reverse Perry Mason moment. So this is the guy that sold the thing. He could have switched the barrel. He's like, I wouldn't do that. That's illegal. I would never. I only know about it because of YouTube.
Now, is it, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let him make that like it should be. Is it safe to say, or I should ask you, do you even know a person by the name of Shannon Stillwell or Shannon Jackson?
No, ma'am.
Do you even know a person by the name of Diamante Kendrick?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone that goes by the name SB?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone that goes by the name Yak Gotti?
No, ma'am.
Do you know a Jeffery Williams?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone that goes by Young Thug personally?
No, ma'am.
And is it safe to say you've never had any transactions with either of those people?
Ask that again?
Have you ever had any transactions with either of those people?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. That's all I had.
Yes, ma'am.
God, she thinks this was so
Any
good for
questions
her.
this witness? Mr. Weinstein, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Norton.
Morning.
My name's Doug Weinstein. I represent Diamante Kendrick, who's sitting right over there.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions. You said that when you had this firearm, it did not have a switch on it, correct?
Yes, sir.
You don't know who modified it to put that switch on there, do you?
No, sir.
You don't know if my client, Mr. Kendrick, has ever been in possession of this gun, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't know if he's ever fired this gun, do you?
No, sir.
All right, no further questions. Thank you.
Redirect.
Just briefly, you were not at a person by the name of Jeffery Williams' house on May 9th, 2022, were you?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. You may step down, call your next witness. You're excused. Thank you.
Didn't call Dr. Melissa Sims-Sandler.